And welcome back. Now in this video I want to go ahead and try to knock out most of what else we have here. And that's a lot of things. So this is probably going to be about 30 or so minutes, maybe even longer. So I'm going to get right to it and probably talk a little faster than normal. I'm going to press F twice and zoom in here a little bit. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to kill these cut marks here. We don't want them because right here will show up in your paint, and I don't want that. So speaking for older versions of Photoshop, I'm going to drag this white base layer to the very top and make sure I don't drop it in that group and sample the color, and you can see it's not quite white. And I'm going to go ahead, grab my brush tool, B for brush, and I'm just going to paint this in. And just to be safe, I'm going to go to the front and I'm just going to fill in these gaps here. And that's it. Now I can drag that white base layer back down to the very bottom or above our temporary layer. And it doesn't have to be temporary, actually. You could leave it there if you want. And now I have to correct the color here, which doing it the way we did it will take us a whopping 5 seconds maybe. So selecting the layer mask, our colors automatically switch to black and white. I'm going to press G for the gradient tool, zoom out a little bit, and from door to door, holding shift for that straight line and fill it. Now it filled in everything else, so we will control click the base and keeping our layer mask selected, fill it in with black. Whoops. Press Control Shift I and then fill it in with black. And there we go. Now we're back to square one and with improvements. Another thing I want to do while I'm making all these little corrections, or not corrections, but changes, is I'm going to go ahead and throw my windows in here. And by doing that, it's going to change a couple things. So before I even get to that part, I'm going to go up to my gold layer here. And you don't have to follow along with this if you're not using them windows. If you are, you probably already did this step, so you can just disregard it. I'm going to go ahead and zoom way in to about 50% anyways. And I'm going to press E for my eraser tool. And I'm doing this because my windows are going to be slightly different than these. I'm going to press my mouse button here. I'm going to go down yonder, hold shift and click. And I'm going to skip these for right now and go right out the edges here. And come to the front. Hold down shift and click again. What is that? Aha. Do the same thing for the bottom here. And my mouse is a little messed up today. I think I have a cat here in my lens or something else and it won't come out. So there we go. I got those done. I want to now grab my marquee tool, pressing M. And I'm going to take care of these here by selecting them and just deleting them. And look at that mouse go. Alright, so now we're pretty much back, or we're pretty much all set here. I'm ready to drag them in. Now I want to make sure I don't have anything selected here. If I do, when I drag it in, it's going to go to that selection. So I'm going to press Control D, and now no matter what, even if I can't see it, everything is deselected. I'm going to press F to get out of here, zoom out, Control minus, and open my windows here. And the first thing I want to do actually is I want to make sure that my windows are going to be dragged into the right spot. Inside here we only have the one actual, where is it here, the window line folder. And within it we have just the one layer, the windows. We have extra windows because these are the 4 that I cut out earlier. And these new windows are basically the same thing. It has those 4 missing. But I'm going to go ahead and shut off this entire group and have it selected so when I drag mine in, they go right on top of that. So I'm going to just grab this group. I'm going to bring it over my PSD, hold down shift, let go, and bam, they're right into place. So I'm going to once again go into full screen mode, zoom in, and let's see what we got here. Now, again, my windows and the doors here are a little smaller than the other ones, and I'm going to go ahead and open this folder. And I have my alphas in here. I'm going to leave them on because I want them on. You don't have to if you don't want to. Again, those should be cut out later, but I like to see them the way I see them. I'm going to control click the 900 windows. I'm going to go up here to my gold layer, select it, and I currently have that selected as my background color. If you don't, just grab your color.psd and sample that color, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to fill that with Alt Backspace, and that's it. We now have everything caught up to speed. Alright, I want to clear up this blue, and I want to clear up this little bit of whatever that is. And that's actually in two spots here. So I'm going to select our fuselage mask. I'm going to press B for the brush tool. And since our mask is selected, again, it's black and white only. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint this in with black, and that will hide that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, but being careful not to go into here, because I don't want to kill any of that should I want to do a full color paint at another time. So I'm going to select this, drag it over here, and let's see what we got here. A little bit more. So I'm going to press Shift and tie that selection in and fill that with black. And I'm going to go to my base layer while that's selected, and I'm going to just press Delete, kill that, press E for the eraser tool, shrink that down with my left bracket key, and deselect and erase. Alright, now going right up here into the antennas. If we come up into the antenna group, you see antenna stripes and you see external parts. Now external parts is a lot of things, but it's mostly your antennas, your antenna base, and your actual antennas. And these guys we're not going to touch. And one thing I do want to do is I want to go up here, and when we turn on our what is what, we get the message here that lets us know that this guy is our bottom one, and that's important to note. So I'm going to shut that back off, come back down to antennas, and again, we've been working with mostly everything in one group, but as you do paints, and if you want perfection, you're going to have layers throughout the paint kit. And you're welcome to just make one more group at the very top and do it that way, but make sure at least it's below the shadows and the weather. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this antenna color. And I'm going to do all my antenna colors on the same exact layer here. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect all this. I want to press W for my wand tool. And first thing I want to do is I'm just going to grab a, let's say a blue color, somewhat dark blue. Maybe not that dark. There we go. And I want to fill this one in here with that blue. But since this is a bottom, since this is a bottom antenna, what I want to do is I want to add something to it. I want to give it some shadow, but I'm going to give shadow directly to this layer. So I'm going to press O, and that's going to give me the burn tool right here, that hand that you got here. And right now, I'm going to increase my brush size. I'm going to click once here and shift click over here, and you see what's happening. It's burning my paint. So all I'm doing here is I'm trying to give it just a little bit of darkness, so it's dark at the very base where it attaches to the bottom of the fuselage, and then slowly gets darker. That's really fast for me. If I don't like it, I can always go ahead and fill this back in later. So it's not like it's going to take a lot of time to reproduce this. So there we go. I got it the way I want it. Next antenna. So I'm going to select this one here, and this one here is the antenna that's right above that. Now this one here though, being on the roof, This one is right around this location, so I'm going to sample this all through this color, dirt and everything, and let's say right about here. Press OK, go back to it, and I want to fill that in with that color. Now the base here, I want the base to be black. So now it's not selecting the rivets, which is cool. So when I deselect that, you see that I do have the white dots, which is what I want. Going over here, I'm going to do the same thing to this base, and do the same thing to this base. Now this particular one, this one's going to be the bottom front, and I want that gold, so I'm going to Control Backspace fill that. And this one right here isn't even part of our antenna color yet, so I want to add that to it by also filling it with gold. And that is done now. Now, this one here, I'm going to do a little bit of burning to it also. Again, because of the fact that it is the bottom, but not that much. Not as much as we did the other one, just a little bit here and there. There we go. So let's zoom out here and see where we're looking. Alright, this one we want to do. So I'm going to select it, and let's see, let's go with that dark blue. And you can do whatever colors you want. So, what do we got left here? These right here are winglet bottoms. Let's see, our base, inner and outer. We already did those. If you didn't do those, all I did was fill them in with the fuselage color. And I want to go ahead and grab those colors right now, actually. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to make sure this color is my fuse color. Hit OK. And this one here, I'm going to set to white. OK. And go back into full screen. And what I want to do now is, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is that color. So I'm going to Control click it and fill that with Control Backspace. And yeah, it is that color. So I want to do my winglets. And the winglets here, I'm going to do my colors. If you open up each group, actually, you'll see that they have a color already, or a layer for each individual color. I don't want that. I'm going to go ahead and cheat. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to the very top of this group here, right underneath winglets, create a new group, and I'm going to call this winglet color. And actually, I'm going to drag this above that. There we go. So what I want to do now is, first of all, I have to find out which is which. So let me collapse these and have a good look here. Right now I'm looking up here, by the way. Looking up in my navigator, see which one's which. So, whoops, there we go. So I'm looking at the direction they're in, and that one's going that way, and that one's that way, and there's this one. Okay, so my right outer and my left outer, I'm going to go ahead and open them up, and I'm going to Control click those. And when I clicked this one, I'm going to hold down Shift so it adds to the selection. I'm going to press G for my gradient tool, and I'm going to flip my colors by pressing X and start at the very bottom here. Actually, I have to select my winglet color. And it doesn't matter that I'm only doing it within this one. They're both selected, so they're going to get it. I just want to make sure. I'm going to zoom in to say 100% here. And I'm going to go to the very bottom here. And I want to be able to make sure that these match up on both sides as best as I can right now without having to fix it later. I'm going to click, I'm going to hold down Shift, and now I am doing a little guesswork here, and let go. So it fills that one in, and it fills this one in. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other two. I'm going to go ahead and collapse these, and open up these. And I'm going to Control click this one and Control Shift click the next one. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my winglet color, press G for the gradient tool, and from here all the way up. Now I'm holding down Shift, but I'm using my cursor to make sure that I'm right on the tip here. And let go. And there we go. That looks good. And let me just pan down here, and that one got filled in, so we're all set. We have all of our color right there. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and even shut off the visibility of these. It doesn't matter. I'm going to leave them on, actually. Now, you're also going to notice that I have the DA and the DA stripes in here. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I can't really tell you what logo to go with. I'm going to go ahead and turn these on all of mine so you can get a good look at what they are. And all it is, again, it's my particular logo that I chose to go with. And oh, actually, this would be bad. I need to turn off all these individual colors, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to see my gradient after I move it to the bottom, which is what I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to drag that below here, put it right above base. That way I could now see my logos. And you can see my logos are in rough shape. Look how jagged they are. And this was when I was rushing it to do this for you guys. But now we're going to actually create our own logo and put that on here. So by looking at mine, you can get a good idea of which way you want your letters to go. I'm going to go back up to the top here, and I'm going to turn on this what is what. And the left winglet inner, and the right winglet outer, and so on and so on and so on. These are great to have, but it doesn't tell you which way your text goes if you're new to painting. When you're looking at these, you're looking at right winglet inner would be, try to imagine yourself sitting inside the cockpit, looking out, and this would be the right winglet. So if you look to your right, or your first officer was to look to his right, this is what he's seeing. So if you think of it that way, you'll be able to line up your text in one shot without having to do this so many times. And then, like say the right outer, that's how you're going to want it. You're going to actually want to flip your text so it's actually reversed or mirrored. And the reason being is because when you look at this, try to imagine that you're looking at this through itself. Okay, so it's not necessarily that you're just on the other side and you're looking at it. Try to imagine that, again, you're looking at it from the co-pilot seat, but you're looking through the wing. And maybe that'll make sense. Doesn't seem to make sense as I say it, but you're probably smarter than I am. And the same here with the left outer. Now the left outer is exactly how it is. And the left winglet inner, again, would be the pilot's view, looking to his left and looking right at it. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense to you, and you'll be able to get those and get your logo on there. I'm going to shut off this guides folder, collapse it. So how do you do your own logo? The beauty of text in Photoshop is the fact that you can add effects directly to the text. So all I did for mine was I have a logo, and if you were really paying attention earlier, you probably saw that I have a new folder in here as well, and that folder being called Names Temp. So here are my names temporarily. Since this is my particular livery, my choice, Dantrix Airlines, all I have here inside my names folder is I have all text files, with the exception of my green dashes. Okay? So we have the left side here as you're seeing it, and the beauty of the left side is you can just do it as you're looking at it. Whereas the right side, you do again want to flip it and make sure that it's, you know, the way it's supposed to be. So take the bottom side, do the bottom side first, find whichever one you want, and that would be this one here. And after you've done it, press Ctrl J, and that will duplicate it. Now press Control T to transform it. Bring it up, hold Shift to make sure it stays lined up with that one. So now I can move it straight up and make sure it's perfect. Get it roughly where I want it. Hit Enter. Go up here to the menu, and I'm going to hit Transform Flip Horizontally. Now that it's flipped horizontally, I also need to flip it vertically. So there we go, and I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and use my arrow keys and nudge this. Make sure your movement tool is selected, by the way, or you won't be moving anything. And that's pretty much how I have it. I'm going to delete that since I already have one. So what do I have for effects on this? All I have is a bevel and emboss. I have 120 by 30 on each one of them. And of course that light's going to change as you flip it. It's going to stay, from that angle. So you can go at this until your heart's content. Now my particular paint, the way I have mine is I want mine above my rivets. Most of the time I don't. 99% of the times I do not. This paint being a little over the top and doing what I'm going to show you later in the bump mapping, I wanted it to be above the rivets because I wanted it to be a little bit more fancy. So rather than it just be painted decals, I wanted it to be like a sign, like an actual embossed sign. That again is so over the top fictional you would never have such a thing. It's breaking down the aerodynamics of the aircraft and it's actually bumped into the aircraft. But it's a good lesson to show you later. And if you have the paint and you pan around it in the light, you see the effect that I got from doing it that way. So again, it's your call. Do it if you want. I would recommend definitely doing it. And then pick your own logo or a slogan. Move forward with us is something I've had since I created Dantrix.net, and that just kind of goes perfectly with an airline because move forward with us, well, aircraft don't travel backwards. Well, maybe the AV-8 Harrier jump jet, but moving along. Let's see what else. Now the bottom color here, I want to fill in some of this with gold also. So let me get out of here, grab that gold color, and back into this. Select my gold layer. Actually, before I select my gold layer, I want to cut these out of my bottom color. So I'm going to select that bottom color. Now I have to find these things, so they're in the fuselage. Let's see here. Rivets and paneling, control click that. And we have these things right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just press E for the eraser tool. And just double check in this brush, it's 100, which is what I want. Increase my brush size. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over this, therefore deleting or erasing everything that's selected here. With it still selected, I'm going to go up here to my gold layer and fill that in with gold. And that's pretty much that, but I also want to do some colors to my hubcaps. So there's the hubcaps, control click it. And once again, I want to delete that from my bottom color. And the reason why I am is, let's go ahead and say I did not delete them from the bottom color and I just went ahead and filled my gold color. So I'll do the fill of the gold color first. So there it is, it's filled. Can you tell? No? Maybe a little because the effect? Well, I don't want that. What I mean to say is I want it to show a little bit better than that. So I'm going to once again control click the hubcaps, go down to my bottom color, and delete that. So now I get that gold color through. I could take it even a step further if I wanted, and I could fill in the bottom, or I can go here to my fuselage color. And if I wanted to make those a little more gold, because right now, again, this is all a little bit of blue. I can fill those in with black. Now that I have that layer mask selected, I have black and white selected over to my color palette, so Alt backspace, and there we go. So again, you don't have to do all this. I want to do it all because, that's just my style. So actually, since that's selected, I'm going to do that also to my rivets and paneling here. But this time I'm going to do it with a paintbrush. I'm going to press B for the paintbrush, right bracket key to increase that size. And that way I can see these just a little bit more, a little bit brighter gold. And Control D to deselect that. And I am done. Almost. Alright, so I'm going to zoom out here and let's take a look. What are we missing? Are we missing anything? I don't see anything, with the exception of your logos. Now, something that we talked about in the pen tool, we talked about creating your own vector graphic so you can resize it. Well, I want to go ahead and I want to replace my DA with an actual vector graphic. So I'm going to go into my Winglets folder and say, which one is this here? My left outer. I believe that is this bottom one here. Nope, it is up here. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead into my objects. I'm going to click my objects here, and I'm going to go into my shapes. And here you see my DA. And let's say I had white selected. And I came here, and again, wherever my layer is selected is going to put that new layer. So I'm going to go ahead and drag DA, let go, and it's going to fill in with whatever color you have. Now in a previous video I said to fill this in by selecting it and then filling it in. Don't do that. I was overtired, I think. You have the color window right here. Just double click it and then choose your color, and I'm going to choose our gold and hit OK, and there we go. Now I also want to apply effects to this, just like I did my name. So I'm going to double click that layer, and I'm going to choose Bevel and Emboss, uncheck Global Lighting, and leave the 120 by 30 for myself. That's what I'm going to go with. But looking at it here, I want to play around with the actual contour. So I'm going to go ahead and change this up a little bit and see what I can come up with. And that's a cool gold metal. Maybe a little too thick though. I'm pretty sure that's what I had on the other one. So let me just cycle through a couple more of these. And I do like that dark gold look. I think I might actually change it to this guy. Let me go ahead and turn down the opacity for this. Just a little so it's not so much. And that's good and okay. I'm going to hide that path with Control-Shift-H and hit Control-T and move this new one into spot and scale it down and get it roughly where I want it. And I'm going to use my arrow keys to get it better and hit enter to lock that in, and there we go. I have my new one, and I can go ahead and shut this one. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and delete this one altogether. So that one's gone. So there's the new, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to press Control J and duplicate it. And I'm going to drag this one down and bring it to the next one. And let's say, turn this off for a moment. Now, if you can't find something, a little tip, just go ahead and select that layer, press Control T to transform it. And now if you zoom out, you can quickly find which one has that around it. You could do the same thing with doing a selection around it. So I'm going to hit Escape to kill that. And now I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in. Now we're at 100% here, and look how jagged that is. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and grab this guy. I'm going to duplicate it, Control J, and I'm going to drag it down here. And I'm going to go ahead and move that down here by pressing Shift and the down arrow. Might take a minute because it's pretty far up there. And there it is. So let me go ahead and rotate this. Move it into position. Now look at the size difference there. Now if you're wondering, the reason why it's a different size difference is because your inner and your outer are kind of like a different size. Your outer actually wraps around, so you have more room to play with. So that's why I have it a little bigger. I want to do the same thing with this one. So I spent a lot of time on trying to get these perfect. And I'm going to have to go with my instincts and know that I did it for the right reasons. So let's say a little bit bigger. I'll show you in a second how I actually made these. So right about there. And I will go ahead and delete this. And let's see here. I'm going to zoom out. And we have that one in this one, and I want to go ahead and duplicate both of these. So Control J for this one, and this is my left outer. I'm going to bring that one, this copy down here for now. And this one also. Bring that one down here. I'm going to go ahead and get these closed so they're out of my equation. And I'm going to go ahead and find this one here by doing a transform. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this one down while holding shift. Get it there. And I'm going to flip this one using the menu. Flip vertically. And it's perfect with the exception of its size. Control T, transform that, holding shift. And hit enter. And I'm going to now go ahead and delete that one and move that into its spot. Alright, so we have one more to do, and that's this guy here. And let's get him all squared away. Bring him up. Put him into location. And let's go ahead and transform him down. And there we go. Control Shift H. Hide that path. And let's say we're overlapping a little bit outside the wing. But I did that for a reason before, so I'm going to have to just go with it. Now here I can't be that much help to you because you're going to have to experiment with your own logo. You can use this video hopefully as reference and see how far off the bottom I stayed, and just go ahead and load up my paint and see how it matches and see why I did it that way. It's the easiest way I can tell you. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I did what I did here. When you're trying to think of your own logo, if you don't have one yet, I'm gonna try to make this as simple as I could possibly make it. I use this font for pretty much anything Dantrix related. I use I'm gonna say this wrong because I can't even read it. I'm so blind right now. Kelowna MT. Okay, so I'm gonna select my color here, and I'm just gonna type in a D, capital D. And I'm going to go ahead and select the T here, so that's its own layer. And I'm going to also do a capital A. Now, right now we can't see it because it's underneath all that stuff, so I'm going to just drag this to the very top right now to give you this quick demonstration. So, I'm going to grab my A. I'm going to bring that over here. And what I basically did was I was playing around with different ideas and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do, so I just kind of got this right about, let's say, right about there. And I went ahead and rasterized both of these. So right click on them, rasterize type. And then I went into it, I zoomed in, and I grabbed my eraser tool, and I just erased the A part right there, and I also erased the A part right here. And there we go. That's my logo. That's what I chose. So it really was that simple. And then all I did was I traced it with the pen tool, and bam, there it is. Okay? So hopefully that'll get you kicking. And I can actually merge these two together. There's no reason why not to merge these two. So there it is. I can do that. I can go ahead and open up my effects, shut off global lighting, and hit OK. Or actually, let's go ahead and change this to the same look. And there you have it. So it doesn't take long to think of a logo. Or I should say it doesn't take long to actually create one. It does take a long time to think of them. I do know that. So there we go. I'm going to delete that. I don't really want that there. And that pretty much wraps it all up. We've pretty much covered all the miscellaneous stuff without going into the next video, and that's going to cover the rivets and the lines. Not just in creating them yourself, which it will, but it's also going to show you some quick, easy ways to enhance the ones that you already have. Now, that video I would recommend watching even if you don't think you want to do it, because there are going to be a lot of tips in that video on doing a lot of cool things. Like playing around with the brush properties and just all sorts of cool Photoshop stuff. Right? So I will see you then.